we've been talking about insulin and diabetes, the fact you can control it. And now we talked about estrogens and the fact that, amazingly enough, we can control that too. This is surprising, isn't it? Okay, I got more in store for you. Menopause. You're sitting in a boardroom, and all of a sudden, in the middle of the board of directors meeting, the hot flash arrives. You're 55 years old, and the hot flashes start in the chest, and you break out in a sweat, and you're afraid everybody can see you, that you feel uncomfortable, and it can happen also at night. You wake up drenched with sweat, you change your pajamas, you go back to sleep. An hour and a half later, it happens again. An hour and a half after that, it happens again. Your quality of life is tanking. You go to the doctor, and the doctor says, wait a minute, I can give you hormone replacement. The hormones will kind of take menopause back. You'll feel better. And you know what? You would feel better, except that on the way to the pharmacy, you read the information about the risks of hormone replacement, which include cancer, heart disease, blood clots, maybe even dementia. So a lot of researchers, including our team, have said, might be a better way. Okay. I want to tell you a story. This is my book, Your Body in Balance. I described what I'm about to tell you now. And in fact, that QR code, if you're interested, you can shoot that with your phone if you want to, and give you information about the book. The reason I'm showing you this now is there's a menopause chapter in the book, and a woman named Betty read the chapter, and she called me up and said, Dr. Barnard, I want you to know that I read your menopause chapter about what to do with hot flashes, and my hot flashes were gone within just a few days. And I thought, that is remarkable. Frank, I mean, I thought this approach would work, but I didn't think it would work that fast. Tell me what you did. She told me exactly how she interpreted what I wrote in this book. And we then put this to the test, and that's what I want to share with you now, because it was the most remarkable event that we've had in just the past year or so. Okay, here's what it is. Hot flashes are vasodilation. Vasodilation means your blood vessels they're enlarging. It's like when you blush, it's the blood vessels that are in your cheeks, they widen, and that's why you get kind of red. You can see the blood. That's vasodilation. It makes you hot. It's like somebody turned on a radiator, and it's really, really uncomfortable. Okay. In Japan, back in the 1980s, researchers conducted interviews of women and found that they didn't have hot flashes very often. Only 15% of women reported them. And when they reported them, they were mild. They didn't even have a word for them. But what happened in Japan? Japan westernized. Burgers came in. The Golden Arches came in. Dairy products came in. That was not part of the diet. The diet before was rice. Some meat, but not a huge amount. Really no dairy. Not a lot of Western foods, but as that came in, hot flashes became much more common. By the early 2000s, about 40% of women, a little bit more, were having hot flashes. Waistlines expanded. Diabetes became more common. Breast cancer became much more common. Okay, so how could a traditional Japanese diet be helpful? Well, the first thought was maybe it's isoflavones. Isoflavones are in soy products. Genistein, daidzein, glycine. These names will not be on the test. But isoflavones appear to reduce breast cancer risk. But they also were thought to be part of the reason why hot flashes are less common in Japanese women. Okay, is this true? Well, in 2016 in JAMA, researchers looked at dietary soy isoflavones, and they found, yeah, maybe there's some evidence that you go to the store and you get some soy isoflavones, maybe they're going to help reduce hot flashes a little bit. Or if you get a supplement, yeah, maybe. Kind of a modest effect. But there was more to it. The Japanese diet itself changed. It wasn't just the soybeans. The diet itself changed. So researchers started looking at other parts of the world. And they found in rural Mexico, there was something similar. If you went to Cancun, fly down to Cancun, rent a car, drive 2 hours west, you'll be in a town called Valladolid. Next to it is a little town called Chichimilá. And researchers interviewed 118 postmenopausal Mayan women and found that they didn't have hot flash symptoms. In fact, they didn't really have any big menopausal symptoms at all. Now, are they eating rice like a woman would eat in Japan? No, they do eat a grain. That grain is corn. Are they eating soybeans? I don't think so. In rural Mexico, the bean that's traditional is the black bean in the Yucatan Peninsula. And they eat a lot of vegetables. This one is called la chaya. It's a big traditional food. You'll still see this today. You could go into a Walmart in Cancun and they'll sell you tortillas and black beans and la chaya. It's still popular there now. Okay, so wait a minute. Plant-based diet, soybeans, these things somehow are affecting the hormonal issues of menopause. My research team devised a research study to put this to the test. We brought in postmenopausal women. Half of them did a diet, half of them did nothing. And we tracked their hot flashes. The diet was no animal products, minimize oils. Okay, you see where this is going. This is kind of like the Mayan diet, the traditional Japanese diet. We're making it plant-based and low in fat. Only we're going kind of a step further. I mean, this is a completely plant-based diet. One more thing, we said I have half a cup of soybeans every day. Okay, and what happened? Well, the first thing that happened was that the women lost weight. The control group gained weight, almost 2 pounds. The diet group lost almost 8 pounds. That's great. But then when we looked at their moderate to severe hot flashes, they dropped by 84%. Yeah, the women felt terrific. At the beginning, everybody had moderate to severe hot flashes. By week 12, almost 60% of women were completely free of moderate to severe hot flashes. For the others, they were reduced. In the control group, you didn't see a big change there. But it wasn't just the vasomotor symptoms, that's hot flashes. Yep, they were a whole lot better in the diet group compared to the controls. But also psychosocial symptoms, like how do you feel mood-wise? That was a lot better in the diet group too compared to the control group. And if you looked at physical symptoms and sexual symptoms, all of these improved with the diet. These were not people going to CVS and filling out a prescription for hormone replacement. These were women avoiding animal products, keeping oils low, and having a half a cup of cooked soybeans per day, period. That was it. And all these things got better. Now, when you talk about soybeans, there's a myth that's been on the internet about breast cancer. I want to walk you through this. The idea was that soybeans will cause breast cancer. Years ago, researchers found that the soy isoflavones do in fact attach to estrogen receptors, and that's what fueled this myth. But as time went on, researchers found in studies of Asians and Asian Americans, some of whom consumed a lot of soy, that the higher the soy intake, the lower the risk of breast cancer. High soy consumers, about a 29% reduced risk of breast cancer. And for women who had cancer in the past, the more soy they ate, that's the yellow and the green lines, the high soy groups, they had less risk of dying of cancer. What am I saying? I'm saying that the women who consumed no soy, the women who avoided soy products, the women who were not eating tofu and soy milk, they had the highest risk of getting cancer and the highest risk of dying of it. The women who consumed a lot of just normal soy products had the lowest risk of getting cancer and the lowest risk of dying of a cancer that might have occurred in the past. Okay, so why? It turns out that there are two classes of estrogen receptors, alpha and beta, and the soy isoflavones preferentially attach to beta, which is like the brake. Your foot in your car, your foot goes on the gas, the car goes fast, your very same foot goes 4 inches to the left and hits the brake, and the car does exactly the opposite. It screeches to a halt. Soybeans are the brake, okay? So no, the idea of avoiding soy products to prevent cancer is a complete myth, and it's a good idea to have soy if you want. It's optional, you don't have to have it, but it doesn't cause